At 6:02 a.m., a man in an orange vest pressed a foreclosure notice over my son's cardboard sign that said, "Welcome home." Dad smoothed the tape like this was routine and walked back down my steps. Like the house already wasn't mine, a sheriff's cruiser turned onto our street while my coffee cooled, untouched, and I made one call that would end our HOA president's reign before the cup lost its steam. My name's Noah Hart. I moved to Riverbend, North Carolina because I was tired of courtrooms and wanted to be a dad who grills on Sundays and fixes wobbly chairs. I'm an assistant district attorney by title, but here I just wanted to be Jaden's dad on a quiet street with a chalk racetrack on the driveway and a flag that catches the morning light. Willow Ridge HOA came with the zip code you sign. You pay dues, you keep your yard tidy, you smile at people who water at 6 a.m. Simple, right? Then the knocks started. 3 taps at 6:40 a.m. Not friendly, not frantic, just mechanical. And there she was, Kendra Lawson, the HOA president, with the smile of a real estate brochure and the posture of a ruler, telling me my mailbox wasn't the right shade of navy, a $500 fine to prove she meant it. I said, sure. Send me the swatch code and the section that authorizes the fine, and I'll repaint today. And she said, the kind of line you only say after practicing in the mirror. We don't send authority. We are the authority. I repainted, I photographed, I sent the proof, then a second notice arrived for an unauthorized vehicle, visible from the street. They meant my pickup with a resident permit on the windshield, then a third for a flag bracket that supposedly broke the 35-degree rule. I bought a protractor. It didn't, I documented anyway. You know what I mean? You try to be reasonable until you realize reasonable isn't the game. At the board meeting, the room smelled like tired coffee and carpet cleaner. Folding chairs, a projector with a frayed cable. Kendra at the center, with Tina, who nodded before Kendra spoke, and Mark, the numbers guy, who always looked like he wanted to be somewhere else. The gavel tapped, and my address rolled out like a charge sheet repeated. Non-compliance at 1. No photos, no timestamps, no vote record. Just my name, shaped into an example. I stood, kept my voice level, asked to see evidence, bylaw citations. The tally and the complainant names Tina. Recited the script about confidentiality, while my name still echoed on the mic. Ms. Ortiz from the corner whispered that other trucks never got cited. Selective enforcement wears a smile. Yeah, that happened. So I walked out, filed a records request with the county, and told myself what I tell victims who come into my office. Anger makes noise, dignity leaves evidence. The pressure ratcheted up. A $50 administrative fee popped up weekly on my portal for ongoing hostility. The pool fob turned red when Jaden pressed it to the gate, and he just stood there with a towel on his shoulder, asking if we'd done something wrong. That little beep did what the fines couldn't. It turned irritation into resolve. I built a binder like a case file, every letter, every email, every timestamp. I read the covenants line by line with a highlighter and a legal pad. Found the holes where due process should have been circled. Every place they tripped over their own procedures. And I called my friend at State Consumer Affairs, Erin Caldwell, whose voice sounds like coffee at sunrise. Told her hypothetically what happens when an HOA threatens foreclosure without a lawful hearing, and she said send me everything and record every interaction from now on. At 9:51 p.m., an emergency meeting email landed 7:00 a.m. The next morning to protect community standards that isn't notice. That's an ambush. But I showed up anyway. Kendra opened with, "We're issuing a master fine and instructing council to file a lien right now." I raised a hand she didn't recognize and said two things. "It isn't on the agenda, and you don't have quorum," and as if the universe wanted me to have a witness. Mark hurried in with road hair and said abstain. Before he even sat down, I walked out with an audio memo recorded in my shirt pocket and a draft email already addressed to Aaron. The next morning, a notice of lien and intent to foreclose appeared on my door with a county seal and a file number official tone heavy enough to make a lesser person cough up a check. I put it on the table called the county recorder and asked Tom Ellison to check the number. He shuffled papers, took a breath, and told me there was no lien under my name, and the seal on my photo didn't match their device, misaligned and wrong font. You could almost hear my heartbeat switch gears, so I emailed Kendra and the board with the statute. Aaron copied myself because paper trails win arguments and lawsuits, and wrote per state. Statute. F enforcement requires notice and a hearing and an open vote. I'll be home tomorrow at 6:00 a.m. to receive any lawful document. I also texted Deputy Cara Ruiz for a quiet civil standby at sunrise. No lights, no sirens, just a witness with a badge. And as I set my phone on the counter, Kendra's voicemail arrived, that bright, brittle tone people use when they're trying to sound calm. While holding gasoline, Mr. Hart actions have consequences. Your mailbox shade was the first red flag. A mailbox as motive, an ego as accelerant. The knock came at exactly 6:02 a.m., same rhythm as always. I opened to find orange vest with bolt cutters, clipboard guy reciting lines he hadn't practiced, and a third man pretending to text near the sidewalk. The silver SUV idling like a stage cue. I stepped out so Jaden wouldn't hear anything and asked for the name of the law firm on the notice clipboard. Said Lawson. Compliance, like it was a magic spell. I smiled and said, "That isn't a law firm. What council authorized this?" And before he could invent one, Deputy Ruiz rolled up quiet and asked who authorized a lock change. At this address, her radio murmured ready. The men shifted like students who hadn't done the reading. Then Kendra arrived in athleisure and sunglasses, like she was on her way to a wellness class. About power, told the deputy. This was a board matter. Preserving standards and got the softest, You'll ever hear forged county seals aren't a board matter, ma'am. They're a criminal one. The street woke up the way streets do. When trouble is polite, a blind slat tilted. A coffee cup froze halfway to lips. Sprinklers hissed. And I did what I came outside to do. I laid out the receipts without showing off a left side. The forged lien with the wrong serial format, and the seal that leaned like a drunk stamp right side. A real sample lien from a case file where the seal locked like a coin into a slot. I pointed and said, "Your meeting had no agenda. Item, no proper notice. No open forum. Your only numbers." Guy abstained. Your authority is costume. Your process is theater. And Kendra tried to salvage the script. The community expects order. She said, my voice didn't rise. Order without law is theater, and theater isn't binding. Aaron's hybrid pulled to the curb with a badge on a lanyard and a folder that matched my binder. She told Kendra we had questions about HOA funds paid to a compliance vendor registered to her cousin's address. That's the twist a lot of people don't see coming. It isn't just the forged seal, it's where the money went, while everyone argued about mailbox paint, and right then. Kara's radio got loud enough for Kendra to hear the county recorder confirm no lien under my name, and a seal mismatch on the photo from the scene. The deputy asked the men to turn around a dipto. Zip ties clicked with that plastic shame you can feel from across a porch, and Kendra finally looked at me, not like a neighbor she disliked, but like a problem she created and couldn't control. "You think you won," she said. And I shook my head because this wasn't a scoreboard, no. I think my son gets to keep his house. No cheering, no speeches, just a quiet walk to a cruiser on a quiet street, while people went back inside to stare at their own mailboxes and wonder what they'd ignored the board. Posted a sterile line that said, "Due to recent events, Ms. Lawson will no longer serve as president." No apology, no explanation. Mark offered to help rewrite procedures. Tina fell silent. Somebody texted me a photo of my own front yard. With "You might have won, but you don't belong." I forwarded it to the deputy and put my phone face down. That night, I sat on the porch while the neighborhood looked like a movie set. After the actors had gone home, same hedges, same neat concrete, same flag bracket at exactly 35 degrees. Nothing looked different and everything felt different because authority is borrowed and accountability is due monthly, like dues. And once people see how thin the line is between oversight and overreach, they can't unsee it. You know what I mean? Folks ask why I didn't just say what I do for a living at the first meeting, flash a badge-adjacent credential, and scare them straight. Because then, I'm just another bully beating a bully. Everybody claps, and nothing changes. I didn't want a viral moment. I wanted a neighborhood that learns the difference between a rule and a right. I wanted my kid to see you can keep your voice low and still be heard, that anger makes noise and dignity leaves evidence. I'm stopping where this story should stop. Not at a cookout, not at a victory lap, but at a door that didn't change locks at sunrise, and a kid who asked if we were okay, and heard, "Yes, we are now." And if you've listened this far, tell me where you land. Are HOAs protecting communities or protecting control? Have you seen rules used like a weapon, or been the person who swung them? What's fair, and what's just familiar? Drop your take in the comments. Argue with me. Argue with each other. Keep it decent, and if you've lived a moment where dignity changed the ending, share it. I want to hear that too.